This is the world's most wanted car of all the time. The first ever E-Type Jaguar was the product of dedicated development at the hands of the Jaguar racing team following the D-Type's iconic success at the Le Mans 24-hour race in the previous decade. The car was first displayed to the press on the 15th of March 1961 to an unbelievable level of excitement, giving birth to a true automotive icon, but it almost wasn't to be. Such was the demand for road tests from the British media that the E-Type scheduled for Geneva was still on UK shores on the evening of the 14th of March 1961. So, in fittingly dramatic style, Jaguar executive Bob Berry drove the car flat out from the factory in Coventry all the way to the Parc des Ovives in Geneva, arriving just 20 minutes before the car was to be revealed to the world. Of course, 20 minutes later, pandemonium ensued. The car was revolutionary in many ways, but it was the stylish and iconic bodywork that set it apart from the rest of the cars currently in production. It also featured faired-in headlights and a scented twin exhaust, which was different to all other production models at the time. Rumor has it that Enzo Ferrari called it the most beautiful car ever made when it was released. It wasn't just the looks that impressed many about the Jaguar E-Type and made it one of the most desirable cars in production, though. The launch price of the car was around £2,250, comparatively valued at £38,000 in today's money, which made it surprisingly more affordable than many other sports cars. Although the same can't be said for the cost of the Jaguar E-Type today, as its iconic history has made it an expensive vintage on the modern market. It also featured much more modern specifications such as independent rear suspension and all-around disc brakes that put it ahead of its time. The 3.8-liter engine produced 265 bhp and could reach a top speed of 150 miles per hour, which made it the fastest production car in the world at that time. That was just as well, as Jaguar had already printed brochures claiming it was capable of the magic 150 miles per hour before the car went into production. The era of the E-Type is characterized by three distinct phases of three different models of E-Types from its beginning in 1961 to the final production run in 1974, Series 1, Series 2 and Series 3. The Series 1 was such a collection of developments that it's sometimes ambiguous which cars fall into which category. The E-Type's later model revisions were formerly known as Series 2 and Series 3, and over time, the earlier models have come to be known as Series 1. The Jaguar E-Type was known as the Jaguar XK-E for the North American market. In fact, such was the popularity of Jaguar on the US market that some of the changes made to comply with rules and regulations in America were implemented across the manufacturing process for some series. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure you subscribe, like and leave a comment in the comment section below.